Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 tips you can use to help yourself stay focused when you're writing. These are just tips that I have found to be very useful for me and to help me stay more productive while I'm writing and editing my book, and I hope you can find them helpful too. So tip number 1 is to find your creative space. This is going to look different for everyone. For me, I work very well in cafes, but obviously it's not practical nor very budget friendly to go to a cafe every day and write. So I found 2 spots in the house where I can really get down and focus. When I'm writing on my laptop, I like to be in my room at my desk because it's pretty solitary in here, and I'm just using my one laptop plus maybe a notebook I have of notes for the book. But most of the stuff is on my computer, so when I'm writing, I'm okay staying at the desk. For editing, however, I have found that using the big table in the dining room has been much more beneficial for me, and if you are on my Instagram, you've seen my spreads of what happens. I need a big table for this because I spread out everywhere. I've got highlighters, I've got pens, I've got several sets of notes with codes of what I need to revise, I've got my actual manuscript, and it's just a big mess out there. Those are the 2 places that I found for me that practically help me be my creative self. 1, because it's in a solitary environment where I'm by myself, and 2, the second one is because I can spread out and have all of my things right there for me to look at. And both of them are fairly well lit. My room can be well lit as long as I have all the lights on, and the other one has a lot of natural lighting, so it just works really well for me. The second tip I have, tip number 2, is to find your optimum background noise. So for me, I've got a couple playlists attached to my YouTube channel, and all of that music I have a very easy time writing to. Some of it has lyrics, some of it doesn't. It's pretty repetitive, just a little bit upbeat, so I still feel energized. And then I've got my villain inspo playlist too for the scenes when I have to write my villains and I'm like really need that extra kick of something evil. So I like listening to either of those 2 playlists, or there's this YouTube channel called ASMR Rooms. I'll link it down in the description below, and it's amazing. It's mostly white background noise, so it's kind of fun when I'm all around, like either all alone or there's too many people in the house that are chatting. I can just put my earphones in and then it sounds like I'm wherever this place is. And the rooms that are on this channel are awesome. They kind of like Hogwarts themed, so there's like a library, there's the express train, there's, you know, all the common rooms, and it's awesome because you feel like you're in Harry Potter when you're listening to it. And I am especially a big fan of the library ones because I can feel like I'm in the library writing my own book, and it's really exciting. It's awesome. We've got Harry Potter, we've got Game of Thrones, there's some role play sorts of games that I'm not very familiar with. It's fantastic. If you're one of those writers that needs white noise around in order to write, highly recommend checking out this YouTube channel because I cannot be more excited about it. My third tip number 3, is to work in bursts. This is kind of more of a psychological thing that I've done a little bit of research on, and it really helps your brain just be more productive and more focused. But if you work in like 1 to 1.5 hour blocks and then take like a 15-30 minute break in between, or 15 to 20 more, like 15-20 minute break, work for another hour or so, it helps your brain concentrate so much more. And I don't know why exactly this is. I've watched like speeches about it. I did a little bit of research on this for my master's thesis, and I've been applying it to my own work, and I don't know why. For some reason, when I tell myself, okay, you have this and then we're taking a break, it makes me focus a lot more. When you work in like long blocks, so if you were to work for like a whole day just writing your manuscript, it's really exhausting for our brains to focus for that amount of time. And so we might be working the whole time, but it might not be our best work, and it definitely won't be the most productive work that we could do. Whereas if you give yourself a deadline and you set it like that and your brain knows that it will have a break, it's more likely to work with you instead of just kind of wandering off because it knows you're going to be there for a while. Tip number 4 is to find your time of day. So this is something that I had to play around with a little bit and has definitely changed since I ended up getting a job. And while I found that I tend to be my most creative at nighttime, I'm actually my most productive kind of in the late morning, which is interesting and working out really well for editing because I don't necessarily need to be super creative, but I do need to be very productive. So this is something you can test out for yourself. I've heard of this book called The Power of When that I've been meaning to read, but basically it kind of talks about these 4 different sleep, or is it 3? 3 different sleep chronotypes, and basically based on your chronotype it will tell you like how to be your most productive self, how to eat to the best of like your metabolism kind of thing based on your sleep patterns. And I took the test. I think it's at thepowerof1.com. If I can find that, I'll put that in the description as well. But it said that I was a bear. So bears are like the most common. They do the best if they go to bed around 11, get 8 hours of sleep, wake up at 7 in the morning, and they're most productive during the daytime. And so I decided, like, well, why don't I test this out? At first I was doing stuff kind of in the mid-afternoon, like from 2 to 3, and that was working really well for me, but then with the job and everything, it wasn't working. So I switched it to doing like writing sessions really late at night, and while I found that I was super creative, I would just wake up the next morning and be exhausted, and my eyes would be burning and my brain wouldn't focus, and I would have to stay up till around 10 o'clock p.m. before my brain felt like it would actually turn on again. And then, you know, just the whole cycle. Like, I would wake up the next morning, feel terrible. So I was like, okay, I think I need to start going to sleep earlier, because even though I'm getting a lot of work done at night, and it's nice because everyone's asleep and I have everything all to myself, it's not working for me in the daytime. So I started doing it for about an hour or so before I go to work, which typically ends up being like the 9 o'clock to 11-ish hour. And that has been working awesomely for me. I like get up, drink water, eat a little breakfast, make some coffee, and just write. And the days I can do that, I get so much done for my editing. I can fly through chapters, and my brain just really is in the zone during that hour. So that's my ideal hour for working. I suggest you play around with the times and find yours. If you're one of those people that's working really late at night, but you get up in the morning and you just feel this brain fog and like you can't get it all together, maybe just try going to bed earlier and then working on your writing when you wake up in the morning, because that's just been incredible for me. And it might work for some of you out there too. I know it doesn't quite fit the like romanticism of the writer staying up huddled over their desk late into the night with the little burning candle, but I don't know, it does fit the profile of a person that's writing as a career with a typical 9-to-5 writing sort of style. Whatever gets your book written, try that. Just play around with it. And the last tip I have, tip number 5, is to make writing a habit. So I'm not going to go too much into this, as I've already made a video called How to Create a Writing Habit, which I will put a link down in the description for if you are interested in checking it out. But I cannot emphasize enough how much making writing and working on my book a habit that I do every day has helped me. And when I say every day, I mean like 6 out of 7 days of the week, because occasionally I do skip a day, I'm just not feeling it, but I never let myself skip more than 2 times a week, because if I do, it just sends me on this downward spiral of not writing, and then I'm not happy and things aren't getting done. So I never let myself skip more than 1 day, and I highly suggest you make time for your book and for your passion every day if you can, because when your brain just starts to expect it, it makes it so much easier to write and work on your book than if you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to work on this today and I haven't yet, but now I'm tired or I have to do something else. Just make it a habit. It makes things so much easier when you're already expecting it to happen. I hope you found those tips useful. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the like button if you would like to receive weekly updates on how to start, write, and publish your novel, go ahead and subscribe. I post videos nearly weekly. Again, if you watched my previous video before this, you'll know I've been slacking a little bit. If you have any questions, you can leave them down for me in the comments below, or find me on one of my social media links listed in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, bye!